Hello and welcome to Communication Connection. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Terry Likes. The focus of this program is going to be on students wanting to get into the media and a media career, and our guest is an expert in that field, Victoria Bailey. Thank you so much for joining us. Victoria is an instructor in the Department of Communication and has worked in the media, so welcome to Communication Connection.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the invite.
Well, we know you are originally from Alabama and went to Troy University.
Yes,
what
sir.
originally interested you about getting into the media? I know a lot of students think it is a rewarding career field, a glamorous one.
Yep.
They may not realize it takes a lot of hard work. What first got you into this field?
Yes, sir. So as a child, I grew up with an amazing storyteller, also known as my mom. So we listened to NPR growing up. One of my favorite stories or favorite storytellers is Garrison Keillor, and I love the Prairie Home Companion. So listening to stories, and of course she's a very strong news buff as well. So I had a lot of examples, and I am nosy, and I like to figure out things. So media broadcast was kind of a natural decision for me.
Well, sounds like all the prerequisites for being a good reporter. So,
yes, sir.
So at Troy University, they have a newscast for students, and it airs several times a day live.
Yes, sir.
And so great experience. You anchored there, and you also dabbled or at least thought about a career in meteorology, something we know about here at Mississippi State.
Right, absolutely. And so initially getting into the program, I wasn't too sure about which role I wanted to play, even if it was going to be behind the camera. So fortunately, I was able to assume some of the roles, just like here. We rotated out, and weather seemed to kind of fit me. But then I realized I had to go to school for another several years. So I navigated over to news. And so getting the experience for both of them, when I did my first weathercast, we weren't able to actually air it. So I realized maybe news would be a better suit for me.
Well, it sounds familiar. That's something my first employer wanted me to do as well, was do weather, but we wound up sticking with news.
Yes.
So a good choice. You, along the way, twice competed in Miss Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Certainly not everyone gets to do that. It must have
Correct.
been wonderful experiences.
Yes, sir. It was definitely, again, something that fit the interests that I had. I was very interested in generating relationships with my community. I was very interested in community service, very interested in interacting with people in general. And so getting to represent Sylacauga, which is where I'm from, on the regional stage was fabulous. And then the following year, 2015, I represented a surrounding area on the stage as well. A lot of moving parts. I know Miss Mississippi definitely has a lot of moving parts. Alabama and Mississippi almost sister, if you will. So a lot of great experiences. And I almost feel it was excellent training for the actual news industry.
I was thinking one had to kind of lead into the other because of the poise, the charisma, and in front of a camera,
Yes,
in front of an audience and things
At
of
all
that
times.
sort. Yes, exactly. You're always on. So treat it like you're on in front of a camera.
Yes, sir.
Well, you mentioned when you thought about meteorology, and it might mean going back to school for a few more years, but you eventually did go back to school because you got a master's degree from Troy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so once I was done with my bachelor's degree, I wanted to ensure that I touched all areas of communication. And so my master's degree is in strategic communication. And so that just allows me to reach a little further than broadcast. So I thought that would be helpful. I thought that would also be helpful to any industry that I end up going into.
You're like a lot of people who've worked in the media, myself included, and like a lot of careers, you have to start at the bottom and work your way up along the way. Some people will say the media career is like climbing a ladder. Now, our students often think they want to leave here and go straight to ESPN or CNN, and there's the reality check that we have to bring them in the classroom. But tell us about your media career, because you went several rungs on that ladder, so to speak.
Yes, sir. And so after graduating with my bachelor's degree, I stepped right into a producing role for WTVY in Dothan, Alabama. And starting there, I think that was the best thing. I think that's also what I tell our students. Maybe you want to get your foot in the door first and kind of work from there. So getting to see from the other side of the camera, because Troy's program was pretty much on-air based. And so we got a lot of practice in interviewing. We got a lot of practice in writing and actually reporting the news. So being on the opposite side and building the show was very, very helpful in just well-rounding out my experiences.
And so Dothan, Alabama, and where else did you work along the way?
Dothan, Alabama. It was like a tour. Dothan, Alabama, and then I came here to Columbus for WCBI News, and then I transitioned to the coast, Gulfport, for the sister station for WCBI, which is WXXV. They all run together. News 25 on the coast. And so producer initially, and then I went to reporter/anchor and continued that experience on the coast. So I think that most employers kind of look for a lot of different experiences, so that's why I just kept the tour going.
Well, it made it a natural fit then to come to Mississippi State as an instructor,
Yes,
and now you're
sir.
getting ready to enter your second year as an instructor. You've been teaching news writing, and you also oversee the student television newscast. So this multitude of experience of reporting, anchoring, producing, a multimedia world is
Yes.
one that we live in now. It's important to teach all of that to our students, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I kind of tell them that as often as I possibly can, the more experience you have, not only in maybe reporting, but other areas of the newsroom, the better you are, the more fit you are, the more hats you can wear, and the more you are employable.
The media world nowadays, I guess, has taken a bit of a hit as far as public opinion. It's not as revered as it was in the days of Walter Cronkite. People are more skeptical. They have so many more sources for information. How do you deal with this when you talk with students about the career options? Because many of them haven't grown up watching a traditional television newscast, for example.
Yes, sir. So the thing that I stress the most is that you can incorporate everything. It doesn't have to be, I only get my news from here, I only get my news from there. And again, it just goes back to making sure we as employees, we as storytellers are well versed in all areas. So if you are able to reach many platforms and many different audiences because you have a podcast and you also have a YouTube channel and you're reporting the news, it's just that much better for me. When the students do say things like we're separating the two, it kind of limits the access and the reach that you have when it comes to getting out information that's impactful to the community and things that can help people, things that people need to be aware about, kind of limiting yourself when you only pick one facet.
So you're the faculty advisor for Take 30, which is the student TV newscast, and it's what's known as a Capstone Experience, meaning they've taken all of the other classes and now they're ready to put these final skills to the test before entering the industry. It's an all-day Friday experience, so it kind of mirrors the day in the life of a newsroom, which is important to get them up to speed. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And I say again, so I'm coming from a program that is definitely good, but we did not have the opportunity to apply the skills that we learned in an actual, maybe deadline-driven environment. So when the students come in, it's just like coming in for your morning story meeting. They come in, they let us know exactly what they are working on, and then they go out and attempt to turn the story right then. For our students, have a week leading up to it, things they can work on, things they can get together up to that point. But it's truly about generating the content, turning it for that day, and making sure that you're working with everyone, building the newscast together.
And I think in doing so, it's their first real test of, I don't have 2 weeks to work on this. They realize this is hard work. It's not as glamorous as it seems. It's a job like any other. And we have to help the station turn a profit by reporting information, and therefore they can sell advertising time.
Right.
So they're learning all about the industry by having this experience, which is key. And I think also, for the sake of their portfolios, you and other faculty colleagues have helped students win a lot of awards, which has been, I know, rewarding for the faculty and for the students. Just to name a few, Southeast Journalism Conference. We recently won a nomination for the Best Newscast from the National Academy TV Arts and Sciences. So entering your second year, it's great to be able to build on that tradition.
Absolutely, and as well as seeing the students evolve and grow, seeing them from the start of the semester where we're working through things and we're still navigating to the polished product at the end where we're receiving awards and we're receiving all of the accolades. So it's very rewarding to see the students excited. Some of them maybe have already graduated by the time they receive their award, but getting to inform them like all of your hard work, all of the writing you did, all of the interacting with the community you did paid off for sure.
Well, and things have paid off for you. You have, summer of 2022, took part in a pilot fellowship through the Mississippi Association of Broadcasters.
Yes,
and
sir.
it's a chance for faculty to go back into the newsroom or into a station and kind of learn and see what are the best practices. You haven't been out that long, but tell us about this experience.
So this was definitely a rewarding experience. I was able to, like you said, not out too long, but dust off some of the skills and make sure that I'm giving the students the most up-to-date experience. And so going back into the field, it was a little challenging getting back in the swing of doing homework, turning the stories, making sure I had all the contacts, but getting to do that would provide the students that I talk to moving forward with the updated experience of these things are being done differently now versus the year ago when I was there, or this software is updated, or there are different story methods we can use, newer ones, more impactful ones. So definitely taking that experience right to the classroom and applying it and giving the students the new updated versions of what I've got.
Something that's near and dear to you is being a part in a national organization, Delta Sigma Theta, and now you're a
Yes.
part of it locally too. Is
Yes,
that correct?
sir. Yes, sir. So I was brought into the organization in 2021 in the spring, and it's just an organization that's rooted in women empowerment. It's rooted in philanthropy, scholarship, service, all of that. And so being able to join the chapter here in the Golden Triangle was rewarding. There were a few times initially where I tried to enter this chapter alone, so getting to be a part of it now is super exciting.
Well, tell us about, in our final moments here, looking ahead, second year at Mississippi State, now that you're kind of got your feet on the ground, what's ahead for Victoria Bailey?
Yes, sir. So definitely continuing my partnership with the industry. And like you said, whether it's in town or whether I go and work with another organization, I think definitely keeping that pathway open and ensuring that I have the latest and most up-to-date information. Also working on my original content and ensuring that I have newer resume reels and more content to be able to show the students. I'm a big learner in that regard in terms of show me and I can kind of go from there. So I just offer that same thing for the students moving forward.
Well, you've had an interesting background so far. We look forward to working with you and seeing more from you in the future. We're glad to have you here at Mississippi State, and thank you for joining us here on Communication
Yes, sir.
Connection.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we are delighted to have you, and we thank you for watching here on Communication Connection. I'm Terry Likes. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.